I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Hi, I'm Marika Moore, and if you want to get all up in my business, you should check out my new book, Unsolicited Marriage Advice, where I provide an analysis of the best marriage advice that I've received over the past 16 years or so. So head on over to Amazon and buy it now.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We're the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on the topics that affect the black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Man Listen Show. You can subscribe to the show on YouTube. Click that bell icon so you can be notified of new shows. Go to the bio and our Instagram. You can get merchandise. Hey, look, fall's coming. It's hoodie season. Get your nice little Man Listen Show hoodie. Buy our books and just support the show. Make sure you tell everybody about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Mark B. Let's bring the crew in. I had to kind of give that side eye to X because you know who owns it. You know, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But shout out to C. Well, we've been talking about the elections, you know, for the past month and a half, you know, few months. And unfortunately, Big Don, Donald J. Trump will be going back to the White House. They say he's only the second president to be able to do that, you know, have non-consecutive terms going back to the White House. And it was a blowout too. You know, he carried a lot of the swing states, almost all the swing states. He won the popular vote. I'll give my opinion about that in a little bit, but it seems to be, you know, the nation decided that, you know, having a felon, having one who does all the, you know, crazy things that he does is not enough to keep him from, you know, being in the White House. So I my stomach was just sick the next day. But I'm gonna ask y'all, how did y'all feel when it kind of just started looking like, hey, the writing's on the wall, she ain't gonna win?
I mean, I was disappointed, of course, because it started looking bad. And then when she sent her homeboy out there to send all those people at Howard home, I was like, oh no, they don't have no hope left. And I was like, well, I mean, technically my vote is never counted, so I wasn't entirely shocked because I know what state I live in and I know what country I live in, but I was still disappointed.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Disappointed. I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch any of the election night coverage at all. So I went to bed kind of early because I was a little under the weather, but I woke up probably about 3 in the morning or so, you know, because I went to bed so early and started checking stuff. And I was just like, man, this is fake, right? Fake news. I'm an election denier now. I was ready to ride on the Capitol. But
boy, don't you go up there because
hey, I would have been shot on site. I'd be shot on site. But
they'll give all of us the red T-shirt like they did that white girl to try to jump on that desk.
yeah, exactly. But you know, it was it I don't know. It's still. I said before the week before the show, I said something. It seems like there was some fishiness that might be potentially going on.
I thought it was just me, bro. I was waiting for y'all to finish.
That might be going on, but
it don't sound right. It don't sit right with me, man.
But you got. I mean, with lack of evidence or anything, you just kind of got to be like, okay, whatever, you know.
I feel like
being that most of ballots are electronic now, and there's somebody that's very influential in his campaign that has some dogs basically that they on that hacking stuff. And I mean, shoot, when they hack your bank information, sometimes you don't find out till 7, 8, 9 months later. And so it could potentially be something like that, but it's just hard for me to believe he was good. Nobody's ever won every single swing state. That just is it's hard for me to fathom that when when some of those states elected Democrats up and down the ticket everywhere else, governors, senator. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. But
It don't make sense to me for
yeah,
that reason. It don't make sense to me because there were some Democratic agendas
yep,
the people voted for.
exactly.
You mean to tell me in every single state they voted for Democrats down ballot, but they voted for Trump for the president?
Yeah,
It
mhm.
just don't seem. It just don't
Yeah.
seem
That
right
doesn't even
to
seem
me.
plausible. Yeah, it doesn't
Doesn't
make
seem
sense.
plausible. And I told somebody the other day, I was talking to my daughter and my son-in-law about this. I said, I think because we have been denied the right to vote for so many years, for us, it's about pomp and circumstance. It's about, hey, listen, but make sure you give me my ticket, make sure you give me my sticker so I can, post a picture on social media. And we take our kids and I'm doing this for my grandmother who couldn't vote and blah 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 blah. But so if we take the election funny business that at least Lav and I believe happened away from it, and we go back to what happened on his surface, the real reason why he got in the office the first place, and the real reason why he got in the office this time, if we just take away our doubts about the legitimacy of it all, it's always going to be white people. Even if you take every single black vote, every single Hispanic vote as it stands right now, we'll never be able to outvote them because of the numbers that they make up. And I find it hard to believe that he was able to increase his votes with white voters so much because they're way more business-like when it comes to their vote. That's why I brought up the whole us being on social media and like, look what I did. For them, it's just like, listen, I'm trying to protect my interests and interests of my children and my grandchildren, and I don't give a damn if he's uncouth. I don't give a damn if he's rude. I don't give a damn about none of that stuff. I don't give a damn if he hurts y'all feelings about them black and Puerto Rican jokes. He's going to preserve whiteness, and he's really going to do that. He's got the Senate. He may get the House, but the main thing is there ain't gonna be no RBG situation with these folks. Clarence, Sellout Thomas, and them other two ones that's like in their mid-70s, they gonna tell them all, y'all need to step down so we can put some young people in here. So that Supreme Court gonna be stacked, and these people that voted for him, yeah, they'll keep quiet about it because they don't want to hurt your feelings, my black friend, but they're always going to vote to maintain whiteness. And I think we saw that happen.
So true, so true. And it's man, it's some I think it's other aspects to it. That's the overwhelming aspect, but I think that sometimes and we as I mean, you say it all the time, we don't, we all we got, right? So the Democratic Party has become the party of some what do you call it? Some quote unquote issues, hot button issues. Whereas if you believe this way on this issue, you have to vote Democrat. And I think some of those issues, there are middle of the road voters who just don't rock with some of those issues. And I think there are some people that was just like, I can't get with that either.
There's one issue, and Enrique, I want you to speak on this because you talked about it more than Lab and I did. And Lab and I dismissed it every time you brought it up. The whole Palestine Gaza situation. And Enrique, you called it. There were people who said that, hey, listen, I'm not voting for them because of their stance on Palestine and the Gaza Strip in Israel. What I don't understand is why would you withhold your vote or vote again? Because withholding your vote, we see now with withholding your vote is a vote for the Republicans, right? Well, why would you withhold your vote about Palestine and Gaza as if whatever Trump does will be any better. They're not going to, nobody, neither the Republicans or the Democrats are going to check Israel and what they're doing. They're going to keep giving it a blind eye. So why you would use that as a reason to say, listen, you know what, the Democrats can't get my vote because of this? I don't understand. Especially since you know what they got in works for this country and what they're going to do to us to make us second and third, fourth class citizens. Why would you sacrifice your vote for a tragedy that's happened somewhere else and jeopardize how you live here?
I mean, I think for a lot of people, it's more complex than that. I think that, like you said, a lot of times with the Black community, we do vote in sort of like this grand stance for, the ability to be able to vote, the ability to voice our concerns, the ability to impact the government and whatnot. But there are lots of people who don't have that stance. They have the stance that my vote is an indicator of my beliefs. And so my vote needs to go with the person whose beliefs align with mine. They're not voting for preservation of this or destruction of that. They're voting with the person that they feel like most aligns with them. And I think that especially the people that I know that voted Green Party, maybe 90% of them did so because they took issue with Gaza. Another portion of them took issue with the fact that the third party system eventually has to get more support, even though obviously the election is not the time to garner that support for the third party system. It's more or less something that needs to be done on the front end, but whatever. People always Johnny come lately to the election cycle anyway. But then a lot of people just didn't like Kamala or Donald Trump. Like I I said she has my vote. She's got my support, but I don't like her. And I think a lot of people just didn't. And I think that she in an effort to um capitalize on her blackness, I think she alienated a lot of people, and not just black people, but working class people too. Because if you think about it, Barack Obama ran as a political candidate who happened to be black. She ran as a black candidate who was constantly defending her blackness, constantly talking about, Black Greek life and HBCUs and college and things like that. And there are a lot of people who, whether they say it out loud or not, they don't necessarily, I'm not going to say that they have animosity or, whatever necessary tensions with people who are college educated, but a lot of times those people are not speaking the same language or worried about the same things. And so if they felt like she wasn't necessarily connecting with them and they didn't really like her, then I mean, she had some issues. And especially people thought that she should have taken a stance one way or the other on Gaza. And I mean, that's just how politics is. And I'm not saying that Trump took a stance on anything, but his people weren't looking for him to take a stance on anything except preserving whiteness and continuing to, perpetuate what they already expected him to perpetuate, which is hate. So he didn't have to care about anybody else. But for her to win that Democratic vote, she had to, take a stance on that because there are people who are for and against it. And she tried to ride the middle in order to maintain the possibility of both of those votes, but everybody wasn't going for it. So
I think she had a tough road to hoe anyway because she started so late.
yeah.
Right? Um, I felt like she did a good job with what she was given. I think she probably could have distanced herself from Biden more, and that maybe would have helped her message.
Mhm.
I think maybe she probably, and that's hard to do when somebody, puts you in, put in office, and then you throw them under the bus or what have you. But clearly, she, black people turned out. Even though we had a problem with the Hispanics that voted for Trump, they turned out. It's just really the white vote, and we said it several times, every single show. What do we always say? We don't trust white women. And they showed us again why it's not a reach. It's not us overreacting by us saying that. This whole deal that we talk about, hey, listen, women's rights, women's having the right to control what happens with their body. Um, Again, it goes back to us, as a black community, we vote, okay, let's vote with our conscience. And we want this person representing us for the US. It's embarrassing that we got Donald J. Trump. Clearly, they don't look at things the same way that we look at it. It's much more business and it's much more long term. And white women consistently show that they will not vote against how their husbands are aligned. They won't do it. They will not do it. Some may, but in general, they're going to vote to where their husbands are aligned, and it won't it would never be it would never go in our favor because they're trying to make sure they maintain their way of living.
I agree. But I also think somebody made the point, some news show I was watching, she was saying that surprisingly, what most people, and I think possibly the Democrats didn't even expect, is they focused in on a lot of hot topic issues. Hot topic issue being the abortion rights, um, what some other stuff. But either way, the
Immigration.
immigration for sure, but abortion rights being a primary thing that they really thought was going to get the women vote. And what they realized after the fact was that women found a loophole basically where they could vote for it in their state. Like I think 7 states approved it of abortion rights and then still not vote for Kamala. I think they were thinking, hey, if you want us to, get Roe v. Wade back in, you want us to do a national preservation, if you want to protect everybody's rights, not just yours, then vote for us. And they were looking at it like, I can give, these abortion rights to my state and not vote for you. And I don't think a lot of people realized that they were going to be able to have it both ways.
And that goes more to what we talked about in terms of the Democrats don't do a good job of messaging. They don't do a good job. We talked about in terms of what for the Black community. They don't do a good job in terms of messaging and saying, yo, this is what we have done for you. They're real good at saying, what the other people want to do and trying to scare you into vote because this is what they want to do. This is what they will do to you and how it will impact you. But they never sit there and say, hey, man, this is what I've actually done. This is why your life is better now because of what I've done. And this is why that you need to continue to vote for us. They haven't been able to do that. An easier way to do that would say, hey, listen, as long as y'all let these states determine who has control of your body, it's always going to be, hey, a vote coming up. It's always going to be some sort of a lawsuit that attacks your way of living. Put us in office so we can put it into a federal law so it will always be there for you. You see how I just sold that to you? It makes sense. They don't want it. They can't do that. And I'm not even trained in
But
politics or in publicity or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think
I can convince you that easily. Why can't they do that?
because the thing with that is that the only problem with that is that um you saying that to somebody, but it's already on the ballot. So I mean that it's what are they? I mean, they have that option already. Now it would have been on the his first time he ran, you could have said that, hey, don't let him get in office because this is what he's going to do. But in all these states, it's on the ballot. So that argument doesn't work because yes, I can vote in my state. And so,
Yeah,
I
but
don't have to
I
vote.
feel you. But again, when he ran in 2016,
Yeah. That's when
they
the argument could have been made. Correct.
they what were they telling people? They were like, yo, they're going to go after Roe v. Wade. They're going to go after Roe
Mhm.
v. Wade. And they assume that motherfuckers can connect the dots. And they can't. They cannot. Especially now when you got people out here who are muddying the water like Elon Musk. Now, his impact on this election, that's somebody put out a nice Instagram reel that showed how he used X to just sway the vote and his amount of the money he donated to the campaign. They were talking about, oh well, Kamala spent over $1 billion. Trump only spent this much. He didn't have to spend no money because he had Elon and some of these other billionaires putting in money because they knew that once he got in the office, they about to get paid.
Yep.
Already. It was like
Elon about to get paid. So between SpaceX, NASA sucks. Elon got rockets. You got these wars going on. Trump talking about we ain't sending it, we bringing the troops home. Guess what Elon just came out with? Them damn iRobots. You think they ain't gonna try to make them give them some pistols and have them go out and fight? Hey, Elon's like, yo, I can never be the president, but I can control the White House.
Mhm.
And that's what's happening, man. And that's why I feel
Yeah.
like Lab, some just don't seem right.
Yeah, it
It don't
doesn't.
seem right, man.
Yeah.
You haven't had a Republican win the popular vote in how many years? And all of a
2000,
sudden, Trump,
2004.
somebody who is so divisive, so ignorant, he wins it.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
And also, you mentioned about the wars and bringing the troops home and stuff like that. He actually had a side deal with the Israeli prime minister to if he got elected that he was going to end the war. So, you know,
Mm.
so
Yeah,
Netanyahu said he's going to start winding his wars down.
I don't know. I think that Kamala, like we said, she didn't have enough time to really get her message and her brand established, separate from her administration with Biden, because a lot of people just attributed what she will do to what they have done, not realizing she don't really have that much control. She's not making that many decisions. The entire presidency, nobody really knew what she was doing anyway. So now it's like, what have you done? And what are you gonna do? But she
And the
had
one
like,
thing she was linked to was immigration, and that's the one
right,
thing people really are
what
frowning on. So yeah.
so now into the Clone Wars.
Right. I'm telling you, I don't know, man. That kind of stuff. I don't. It, immigration, the Gaza situation, those are two things that are probably on the two things that were lowest on the out of all the hot button issues for me. That's just for me. But there's a lot of people who it was obviously that was not the case.
Well, you got to think about where it impacts swing votes, Nevada and Arizona. That matters. It definitely matters there. Um, I don't know, man. They talk about how you have like this red mirage, where basically all the I hate black people states come in first, right? And they talk about how the counties that are out in the rural areas, there's less of them, so it's easier to count those votes. So it always shows how like there's this big run up for the Republicans when election night first happens. But then they said like they call what they call the blue shift comes in when you start having like those populated cities come in and then those densely packed areas, and that's when the more Democratic votes come in. Um, I was sitting there waiting, and Lab, I should have did like you, man, just went to bed. But I just kept, I wasn't even watching the TV. I was just updating my phone the whole time, stomach in knots. And I was, like we said on the last show, I was like, okay, Atlanta about to come through, Philly about to come through, Milwaukee about to come through. And then I started looking at the different, because you on the CNN app, you could look at the different counties and stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, shit, ain't enough of them gonna be able to come through, dog.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we talked about something seeming off. There was overt things that happened. I mean, you had the bomb threats to multiple black precincts in Philly and Atlanta. You had that happening. I can't remember where it happened in particular. Maybe I think it was Nevada or Arizona, where you had ballots being burned,
Yeah.
accidentally burned.
In Arizona and Oregon both, I think.
Yeah. So, when you definitely there was some voter suppression that has been going on since, things changed with the Georgia turning blue and everything else. But I mean, yes, groceries are high, right? But
What
I just
wages
don't,
have increased higher than inflation though in these last 4 years, honestly.
but again, nobody told me that till you just did right there. Why didn't the Democrats say that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They should have hired us.
Yeah, right, right.
They should have gave us some of that money. So I don't know, man, how y'all think it's gonna go for these next 4 years?
I don't know. I think
He
that,
gonna try to stay longer. Hey,
oh,
he
Oh,
get
for
that
sure.
Supreme
He's
Court. He
gonna
gonna he gonna
try.
try to be
He's
like he
gonna
trying to be
try.
King Trump.
It's gonna be some kind of or how you said Elon said he can't he won't, well, he didn't say he knows he can never be president, but he can control the White House. I could definitely see a situation where Trump is basically like, "Hey, you run, but I'm still running everything. I can't be on the uh, ballot, but I'm your quote unquote senior advisor, and he's pulling all the strings."
Trump,
Elon
Elon can't run.
No,
can't
no,
run.
no, no. I'm saying not
Oh,
Elon.
you
I'm talking
saying,
about just finding someone else,
oh,
like a
find
JD
another one.
Vance. Yeah,
Oh,
like a
like he
JD
could,
Vance.
oh, because Elon told him JD Vance, so they might be grooming him for the next spot, and then just the puppet
Yeah,
continues. I see.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like hopefully people will get, more involved in politics before elections start. So maybe this will spark people to actually care about things. I
It
keep
won't.
seeing the same things. We need term limits on the Supreme Court. We need term limits on Congress, and we need to dismantle the Electoral College.
Right. And that's the hope. That's the biggest
Hey,
thing
man,
because I
he
don't
can
think,
cancel Christmas on all that shit because
well,
they finna get these other three judges in there. So what is it gonna
mhm.
be? 6-3? What would that make it? No, that what is it now? Whatever it is now, they gonna solidify that. Y'all better hope Sotomayor, her
It's
health.
6-3. Yeah.
You
Mhm.
better hope
Her
her
ass
health
not
lasts as long as
responding.
possible.
She
Well,
getting on her. She needs to step down. I'm sick of people traveling with nurses and shit, trying to adjudicate laws for the country.
right.
Retire.
Yeah.
Retire.
Exactly. Exactly. The thing with apparently Trump met with the Senate and no Republican is going they're not going to confirm any new judges until he gets elected. So it won't make a difference anyway.
Hey, I'm telling you, man.
And it
If
got to this point.
Yeah.
if it's one thing about the Republicans is that they are ruthless when it comes to wielding their power. They don't mind, hey,
Hmm.
listen, it's not fair. They don't mind that it doesn't necessarily look good. So the people who control our history, there was an article shown where even them they were trying to whitewash some of the stories that were being told, like they wouldn't use certain photos because it put the country in a negative light in terms of how it treated people like the Japanese that were put in internment camps and how they were treated, how black people were treated during different situations. So they were given the history, but they were giving it in a way that didn't tell the whole truth. They didn't want to show all the warts that this country has and how it's treated as people. So when you got them and they are just able to wield power and do whatever, and then we got somebody else who can tell the story how we want it told, it doesn't really matter as long as we preserve how we live.
Mm.
And part of that is what? Us making money, right?
Yeah.
Them making money, not us, but them making money.
Right.
Because what they say, buy your stocks like Pelosi does. Because Pelosi, Pelosi done made hella money off the stock market.
Yeah.
But they all do.
Yeah,
They're
they all do. They all do.
millionaires. And they know what issues are coming up on the floor. They know who
Right.
likely
If
to
we
vote
pass
for,
this
how it's going to
bill,
pass, and how
yeah.
it's going to impact the industry and the nation. Vote in advance of that. It's not right.
How y'all think this is gonna play out for black people?
Same way it always does.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the only thing I can say. Hate that it comes down to this, but black people have been conditioned to be able to survive and thrive. A lot of them, in any situation. So we gotta go back to making sure we good in our community, though. Because there's a lot of folks that we do business with on a day-to-day basis who have clearly shown that they really don't care about you or your family. It's all about, like you said, preserving their whiteness and preserving their millions.
We're gonna have to find a way to really address this wealth issue. Um, that's I think where our focus needs to be at. And we've said it several times on this show. America is built off us being at the bottom, our pain, our suffering. You realize Trump said he was going to bring in Elon Musk to try to make the government more efficient. One of the biggest employers of black people
Yep, federal.
is the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did his last administration, they started taking departments or whatever, and just saying, I think it was one department in particular. They said, okay, we're gonna move the head office of this department to Grand Junction, Colorado. Now, how many black folks that's in the DMV that may have been working for this department are going to want to move to Grand Junction, Colorado? So not only are you eliminating those black people from having those jobs, you're also giving them white folks in those rural area jobs as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a situation where we really are going to have to, like I said, we all we got. We're going to have to support one another, and we're going to have to be real smart about how we move, not just politically, but financially, as a whole, because I think they're setting the groundwork for it to be real tough for black people. They're attacking our rights, they're attacking our way of living, and they didn't got some of them Latinos to vote. A lot of them was some Cubans that I was vote for them, but they didn't pull some of them Mexicans too. They didn't pull some of them Venezuelans over to their side. So the more and more that happens, we don't vote for the Republicans anyway. Nobody votes against Republicans more than black people, and I'm tired of you people who sit there trying to say, well, black men, nah, man, it was like what 80% of black men voted for somebody. Nobody else votes that way.
Not another demographic outside of black women was
That's
within
it.
20%
So
of what
if you
black
were
men
still
did.
sitting here saying, well, black
Yeah.
men are the reason why he's in office, you just don't like black men.
Yeah, yeah.
So just say that then, okay?
Yeah.
But moving on, we're gonna have to really be on point going forward, for real, for real.
But
Because
see, this is
I
this
foresee Elon having them robots walking through the hood. He gonna be selling them robots to the police station. You thought they pulled some shit out. Remember when the stuff happened in Florissant and they was pulling out tanks and shit, and people was like, where all this come from? Next thing you
Yeah.
know, gonna have them iRobots in the hood.
mm-hmm.
Y'all
Yeah.
sit there in Black Lives Matter march if you want to. We got something for you.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that one of the things that we definitely have to do is get more people encouraged to vote. And like you said, if they're not going to do a good job of explaining what the benefits are, then maybe we need to start educating people more about what the benefits are. Maybe we need to be holding forums about how the economy is doing under this person versus this person or whatever benefits, or explaining to people the importance of stacking the Supreme Court justices. Like, I don't know. We got to get more information out there to these young people to encourage them to do something.
all that though, stacking the Supreme Court,
Cancel
ed-
Christmas. That's a wrap.
educating people, all that comes with you have to have influence, and the influence comes from the money. So that's the heart of it all. The thing though is that the political structure and the financial structure in the US is hand in hand. And so it's so stacked to where if you say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna get in this market and I'm gonna take advantage of some of these loopholes too, right? But you're also investing in these companies who are taking advantage of your people and disadvantaged community. And so it's they have what they have, those conscious investment groups, or they don't perform nearly as well as the S&P or whatever. And so that is something that I've thought about, because I'm like, man, is it worth it for me to just to feel good, quote unquote, invest in some of these conscious investment groups, or do I want the bread?
Man, you better invest in all them people that was congratulating Trump on X and Twitter and Elon Musk. You better invest in their companies because they finna go to the moon.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. But then when it comes to the wealth, that's not gonna help you at all, because you're just
If you're
expanding theirs
investing,
and the
you're
gap is getting
investing.
so much larger.
Yeah, I mean, but still, it improve your way of life.
Right. You don't put money in your pocket, but it's not going to address the wealth gap.
Collectively.
Yeah.
But that is addressing the wealth gap, though, right? By investing,
No, when we talk about wealth gap, we're not talking about income and money in your pocket. We're talking
we're
about
talking about lessening the
long term.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long play, but we got to start somewhere, bro. You got to get the capital. The power of money. You got to have it so
That's
it
how
can.
people feel about the Green Party. It's a
So
long
so hey, So
Man,
to
that
that
Green Party
end, no,
shit,
no, no, no.
that Green
Let me
Party
just
shit,
out
such
there.
a waste.
To that
First
end,
of all, them Green Party. First of all, I think they paid by the Republicans anyway. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's like,
uh,
like Lav said, like we said last week, like if you don't know who you voting for, you just want attention or you being controlled.
yeah,
I feel like people in the Green Party, they just want attention or they getting paid.
I don't think so.
yeah. I don't know. I honestly have not given them a single thought.
I mean, you kind of need to. I mean, they ain't really make a difference this time, but
Yeah,
like you
no,
said,
I mean,
they did
I
back in the
can.
day.
I, again, the way the political and the financial systems work hand in hand, you can't really a third party. It's not gonna be viable. You
Nah,
can't.
they got like what 60,000 votes
Yeah, no, I'm saying because even if
throughout the
they
whole
are,
country, something crazy like that.
even if they are, so if you just had got a respectable
How
number,
many votes they get?
then that throws the whole electoral college off.
I'm tripping.
Because if you got a certain amount of numbers now, nobody's getting a 270,
That's what
and
I was.
so I don't know how that works.
I was
They got 2.3 million. My bad.
assumptions. They got what?
Two
Two
point.
point three
We won't
million.
say Green Party,
Yeah,
but just
I knew they had some millions.
other votes got
I thought
2.3
it was
million.
being funny.
Yeah,
2.3 billion. Yeah, we wouldn't be accurate.
it's like about that's not 1% though, but yeah.
Well, technically, it's like 1.5%.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, still it ain't.
yeah.
But the margins being as slim as they are, look, you got this is from Nate Silver. He said Harris got 75.8 million votes, which is 48.5%. Trump got 78.3, which is 50%. So basically, if you assume all those independent votes go to Harris, then it's a statistical tie.
You can't assume that
Yeah,
though.
you can't assume that.
If you assume that, but
But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. But again, so that's what I'm saying. Just imagine if somebody got 20%, got able to get up to 20% of the vote, and they carried a couple states. What happens when nobody gets to 270? I honestly don't know.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, yeah,
The thing about it is they don't let anybody else participate in the debates, so you never really know what their stance is. Because in real life, if Jill Stein got into one of the debates and started talking, and everybody was like, "Okay, she sounds like an idiot. She's not just posting posts that have been curated and are attracting, a certain audience based on what she's saying. If she's really just getting up there and not doing well in the debates, then that changes things. But if she does well in the debates or whoever in the third party or whatever parties get up there and participate and do well, that's what they don't want to happen. But to me, that's the whole problem because we're going to keep having this back and forth. That's my other issue with the ballot too. I shouldn't only be able to vote for Democratic or Republic people in the primaries. I should be able to say, hey, let's go with this person for Republican and this person for Democratic. That way, we won't be so far apart when people get elected. So it's like, well, that's the Republican. That Republican, I didn't think he was that bad. This Democrat, I didn't think he was that bad. So now whoever wins, I'm here. But instead, it's like the crazy radical Republicans picking the far rightist or whatever Republican and then far left
the far left who wants to transgender in the bathroom with your
Right.
daughter.
And
yeah.
That's
and
what
then,
they be saying.
and
I'll be
then
like, nah, like
Hey man,
they
they
so
was
worried
playing
about
that.
having a transgender in the bathroom with their daughter.
Man,
oh, right.
that's statistically that's less than the Green Party candidate in real life. It's less than 1.5%. But anyway, it
But
doesn't mean
we talk about education. Man, I don't know, man. There's a lot of people in this younger generation that they get the information from TikTok and they are just misinformed in a major way. Misinformed in a major way. And then when you see how Musk used Twitter to basically promote propaganda that to misinform people, and he's basically unchecked. It's not going to get better.
Mm-mm.
nah, I ain't gonna lie. After that, I I didn't deactivate, but I logged out and I ain't been on X since, man. I've been on kind of on the threads deal, which it ain't the same yet, but
Threads is actually pretty good. It doesn't have the news media piece.
that's what, because that's basically what I was on X for, was getting my news and articles and stuff like that. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to take a step back from it. I can always I got all the apps from the news sites that I go to anyway. I can just look them up individually. So
Mhm.
I deactivated mine yesterday after I saw that reel you talked about. I posted it on the reel on my page and deactivated my Twitter. And then I took a nice little social media break
yeah.
and deleted all that shit.
Yeah. Well, I hope the people are protecting their peace. Um, we've been through tough situations in the past. We made it through. We're gonna make it through this as well. But it's important to realize that, like I said, we are stronger when we are together and we are on one accord. And the one thing that I think Trump being in office does is that hopefully it makes Black people realize that and to get on point and recognize that we don't have any friends. It's just us, and we have to start moving in that way and take the emotion out, take the pomp and pageantry and voting out, and really become informed and strategic about what we need to do. So that being said, man, I think we talked about it enough. Make sure you go to Facebook, Instagram, and click at
Yeah,
man
threads. Yeah.
threads. Yeah, hey, make sure we get on threads. Are we on threads? We need to make sure we on
We
threads.
are.
If
Make
you're on
sure we go to
Instagram, you automatically
Instagram,
on
Facebook,
threads.
Instagram, and threads at Man Listen Show. Click the link in our bio, buy our books, buy our merchandise, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
You won, see.
Don't do her.
She go, hey, if she was here, she would cuss us smooth out.